In this two-part lecture, we will cover some of the most popular learning theories and what they suggest for training and development specialists. Note that these theories have been around for decades and have been very influential in shaping the principles that we'll learn about in this module. You may be familiar with reinforcement theory, the notion that behavior is influenced by consequences. When behavior is followed by reinforcement, it's more likely to be repeated in the future. When followed by punishment, that same behavior is less likely to be repeated. There are two types of reinforcement. Positive reinforcement is adding a desirable outcome after a desirable behavior. For example, saying thank you or recognizing someone's extra effort during training. Negative reinforcement is also a good thing. Negative reinforcement is not punishment. It's removing an undesirable outcome following a desirable behavior. We can stop sending reminder emails once trainees register for a training program, or we can remove a probationary period once new hires complete a training program. In both situations, we are removing something that people don't like, the reminder emails, the probationary period. There are also two types of punishment, which lessen the likelihood that behavior is repeated. Positive punishment is adding an undesirable outcome following an undesirable behavior. Employees might be asked to repeat a training program if they don't perform very well, or they may receive a written warning for their conduct in training. Negative punishment is removing a desirable outcome following an undesirable behavior. Trainees might lose access to certain amenities, or they may lose their credentials. So what? What does all this mean for us? This theory suggests that trainers need to identify the reinforcers that learners find most attractive, and then link these rewards to learning outcomes. Organizations often have disciplinary policies already put in place. This theory also suggests that punishment can be useful in deterring some behaviors. It's important to hold poor performing employees accountable for their poor performance. Social learning theory suggests we learn by observing other people and emulating their behaviors. The process begins with attention. We pay attention to what someone else is doing. Then we encode the important aspects of that behavior in our memory so that we can recall it later. During an appropriate time, we then reproduce that behavior and wait for either positive or negative consequences, sometimes both. If other people respond well to our behavior, then we will be more likely to repeat that behavior in the future. If people don't respond very well, we make a mental note of it and may not replicate that behavior in that situation ever again. Learning is also influenced by self-efficacy, by a person's beliefs about whether they can do something and do it well. To enhance trainees' beliefs about their capabilities, try some of these strategies. Verbal persuasion is basically words of encouragement, talking to people about their strengths. We can point out the similarities between the new task and a task that trainees have already mastered. We call this logical verification. If they can master that task, then they can master this task. By modeling, we show trainees how to perform a task or procedure, which gives them confidence that they know what they are doing and can replicate those behaviors. We can remind people of their previous accomplishments and give them opportunities to create small wins along the way. Goal-setting theories suggest that behavior is a result of our conscious goals and intentions, that we learn because we seek to learn, because that is our goal. Goals influence behavior in at least three ways. They direct energy and attention towards something very specific. They keep people energized and moving forward even when they face obstacles. And they motivate people to figure out how they are going to reach their goals, sometimes motivating them to try new strategies that they've never tried before. In the context of training and development, goal setting theories suggest that trainers should help trainees develop smart yet challenging goals to facilitate learning. When goals are too easy, they just don't motivate as well as they do when the goals are challenging. The type of goals that trainees set can be divided into two categories. Those with a learning orientation create goals related to increasing their KSAOs, behaviors, competencies. They believe that training success is defined as showing improvement and making progress, and they view errors and mistakes as just another part of the learning process. They tend to direct more attention and effort to the task and to learning for the sake of learning. Those with a performance orientation, on the other hand, pay more attention to the performance, to how they look in comparison to other trainees. They avoid errors and mistakes to avoid the anxiety that comes along with them and to avoid appearing foolish in front of the trainer and other trainees. They tend to direct more of their energy and attention to performing well and less to actually learning. In the typical college classroom, you can find some students who are there because they want to learn, they want to absorb the information and prepare for a better career in the future. They tend to have a learning orientation. Then you have students who are more concerned with getting an A than they are with actually learning the material. Those individuals have what we call a performance orientation. Someone with a learning orientation isn't necessarily going to be upset about getting a B or a C in a college course so long as they learned from it and got something out of it. Someone with a performance orientation who gets a B or a C in a college course will probably not be very happy about it. Trainers should try to promote a learning orientation among trainees. At the beginning of training programs, encourage them to experiment and try new learning strategies and try new ways of performing a trained task, unless there's only one specific way to perform the task. Do not punish them for making unintentional errors, and do not make them look incompetent in front of their peers. When they make mistakes, trainers should provide constructive performance-related feedback. Trainers should also consider designing programs that encourage collaboration and working together to solve a problem or learn something new, as opposed to competing against one another. This can create a more positive learning environment where people aren't trying to outperform one another. Instead, they are focused on learning.